Hi there, I am Brenda Little with the Department of Family Services. I am Senior Administrator for the Department of Family Services and also the Homeless Services Coordinator for the state of Wyoming. As a Homeless Services Coordinator, I am with you today to talk about the Homeless Point in Time Count that we are conducting on Wednesday, January 22nd. First, I want to talk about what is the point in time count. I'd never heard of it until I got this position with the Department of Family Services. The Federal Agency of Housing and Urban Development requires each state in the United States to undergo at least once every other year a count of the homeless population in their state. HUD requires that this count be done one of the 10 last days in January, and it must be done over a 24-hour period. Each state can pick which day in January they would like, and this year the state of Wyoming chose Wednesday, January 22nd. The count runs from 12:01 a.m. on the 22nd till 11:59 p.m. on the 22nd. Through the point in time count, we discover the number of homeless folks in the state of Wyoming and also under which conditions they are homeless. Some of the questions you will hear about later that you will be involved with the point in time count have to do with these different categories as to what caused the homelessness or is contributing to the homelessness with that particular family. We need this information because it helps guide us toward programs in the future and find out what we need in the state of Wyoming to help our homeless population. A lot of people ask me, how many homeless people do we really have in Wyoming? The answer is we don't know, but we are about to find out. And that's why we are doing the point in time count on January 22nd. Your involvement in the point in time count is extremely important. There are homeless folks all over the state of Wyoming, in our towns, out in the country, in our parking lots, in our libraries. And so we need a lot of people throughout the state to help us find and talk to the different folks throughout the state that are homeless. You are so important with this process because you will help us discover the information that we need as a state. There are actually 3 parts to the point in time count. The first is a count of housing beds, or what we call the bed count. In the housing or the bed count, we find out how many beds are available in shelters for our homeless population. The survey for that count is done by the shelters themselves, the homeless shelters themselves. The other part of the count is counting people. We count the folks who are in shelters the night of the 22nd. We consider those folks homeless sheltered, or homeless folks that have a shelter for the night. Once again, the forms for the sheltered count will be given to folks who run homeless shelters. They will use the forms and fill out the information on the folks who are in their shelter the evening of January 22nd. The most challenging and interesting part of the point in time count is what we call the unsheltered count. In this count, we talk to folks who are homeless and are not sheltered the night of the 22nd. We sometimes refer to this as the street count. These are the folks that do not have a place to call home the night of the 22nd and are staying in a place that is not meant for human habitation.
Hello, my name is Carla McLaren and I am the Homelessness Project Manager, and today I am going to take you through the unsheltered form for the point in time count 2014. Okay, as you'll see, our form is titled 2014 Unsheltered Survey for January 22nd, 2014. The first information that we will need is your information as the volunteer. We need your name, your phone number, location, city, county, and region. This information is important to us because as we read through your form, we may have questions that we need to follow up on. You'll notice in the right upper hand corner the tracking number. You do not need to fill this out. It will be filled out at a later time. Let's talk about your approach. When encountering someone, the first question you're going to ask them if they have a minute to participate in our housing survey. If they say yes, then the next question that you're going to want to ask is if they have taken this survey before. The reason for this is that we do not want to double count. We don't want duplicate information. So if they say yes, obviously thank them for their time, and then you will not need to fill out a form. If they have not participated before, then you will start on your first question, and that question will be, where are you staying tonight? If they say a shelter or an agency, you will not need to count them, as this form is for an unsheltered survey. If they say outdoors, a vehicle, abandoned building, or temporary living with family and friends, check the box and continue on to the next question. And the next question is going to be based on outdoors, vehicle, abandoned building, or temporary living with family or friends, what statement describes their situation the best? As you will see, there are 5 boxes, and you will need to ask each one to describe where they will be staying tonight. After those 2 boxes have been completed, you'll need to go to household information. You will ask how many adults in their household, and how many children are living in their household. Then you will want to write the initials of each household member. And then the next question is, you would ask, are they head of household? What is the relationship of other family members to the head of household? So as you'll see, you'll have the initials across here, and you will go down and check a box for each one. Then, what is the age of each person in your household? And you will once again indicate this on the line and fill out the information below. Please indicate the person's gender, male, female, or transgender. Then you'll need to ask, are you or any household member Hispanic or Latino? You will have the options of yes, no, unknown, and refused. You'll need to complete each box for each family member. Okay, as we scroll down, you are once again want to write the initials of each household member across the top and continue to answer the following questions. What is your race? What is the race of each additional household member? As you will see, you have American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native, Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, white, and other. The next set of questions that you will see are to be answered for people living in the household ages 18 and older. Once again, write the initials across the top and check a box for each question. Do you struggle with serious mental illness? Do any people in your household struggle with serious mental illness? Do you struggle with alcohol or drug abuse? Have you ever been officially informed you have HIV or AIDS? Has anyone in your household been officially informed? Now, some people may not want to release that information, and that is why we have the refused or not applicable, unknown or refused or not applicable box. So just do your best and write either one. If they don't want to answer because they're uncomfortable, that's fine. Has anyone in your household ever served in active duty with the armed forces in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, or reservist, or received health care or benefits from a VA center? That question may seem a little long, but that is the definition that we were going to ask that you use that came right off of the federal form. Okay, then the next series of questions that we have are, have you ever experienced domestic violence in your home? Have you been without a stable place to stay in 1 year or lost your housing at least 4 times in the last 3 years? The next question is, have any adults in your household ever experienced a condition which interfered with their ability to live independently? Okay, that will be the last question that you will ask, and that completes the survey. So thank them for their time and that you appreciate their willingness to participate today. If you are a non-DFS volunteer, you will most likely have a bag of goodies to hand that participant for their participation. If you are a volunteer in a DFS office, there is no goodie bag.
This is the first year that the Department of Family Services has been involved with homelessness projects and the point-in-time count. Because of DFS involvement in the point-in-time count, we have asked for volunteers in all of our local DFS offices to help us with the point-in-time count. As a part of that involvement, there are folks in all of our DFS offices around the state, one office in each county, who will be conducting the unsheltered or street count for all of the folks who walk in the door in our DFS offices on January 22nd between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Those DFS folks will be using the same form as the folks who are doing our unsheltered street count are using on that same day. Now, I would like to go through the forms that we are going to be using for the sheltered count. These are the forms that regional coordinators for the point-in-time count will be giving the shelters to fill out on the day of January 22nd. The first is a housing inventory count, which we call an HIC. This helps us count beds. This form is for housing programs that are emergency housing, transitional housing, or permanent supportive housing for the homeless. As you can see, these forms are filled out by the folks who run the shelters and ask for information on the beds that are available for the homeless that evening. The next form we are going to look at is also a housing form, but this is for rapid rehousing programs. The folks who run rapid rehousing programs know that this is the definition of their program. They will be getting this form and filling it out for the beds that are available under their rapid rehousing programs. The next form is for folks who are in domestic violence programs who are staying in shelters the night of January 22nd. These include folks who are in emergency, transitional, permanent supportive, and rapid rehousing programs, but these programs are meant for folks who are victims of domestic violence. In these forms, the folks who run those shelters will be filling them out for the people who will be staying in their shelters on the night of January 22nd. Finally, is a housing form for folks who are not in domestic violence programs, but may be in emergency, transitional, permanent supportive, or rapid rehousing programs. Once again, this form is used to count the people who are staying in a shelter the night of January 22nd. This form will also be filled out by the folks who run shelters for the homeless. All of these forms will be given to you or folks involved in the point-in-time count by folks that we are calling regional coordinators. The point-in-time count is being organized according to region. There is Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, Northeast, and Central regions involved in the point-in-time count. Each of those regions has a regional coordinator. I will be sending out all of the forms involved in the point-in-time count to the regional coordinators. The regional coordinators, in turn, will be giving the necessary forms to the folks who need them for the count on January 22nd. The sheltered forms will go to folks who run shelters for the homeless, and the unsheltered or street forms will go to our volunteers who are counting the homeless on the 22nd, and also to the volunteers who are working at DFS. All of these forms will be filled out on the 22nd with information from that 24-hour period.
All right, we're now going to go over some volunteer tips to make your volunteering experience more enjoyable. The first thing is a good reminder is please make sure that you ask each person if they have already participated in the survey. If they have, please do not fill out any information on these individuals as they have already been counted. The next thing would be is dress casual. If you're in the DFS office, Director Corsi has approved DFS volunteers to wear jeans that day. If you are non-DFS, dress comfortably and warm for the conditions. Also, avoid terms such as hobo, transient, and indigent. And when speaking to all participants, please speak clearly and calmly. Also, ask everyone that you encounter. For DFS employees, that would mean asking anyone that walks through our front doors. Also, we would ask that you avoid being a counselor or a problem solver. Try to stay focused on the forms and the questions that are required. And last but not least, we would ask that you please do not give out any money. We hope your volunteer experience is enjoyable. Thank you.
After the point in time count is done, as of 11:59 on the 22nd, or before, if the forms have been filled out before that time, all of the completed forms will be sent to the regional coordinators in all 5 regions. So the same folks who provided you the forms will also be receiving the forms after they are filled out. The regional coordinators will let folks know the best way for them to receive the forms, whether that be getting the forms to them in person, or faxing the forms, or scanning the forms and sending them via email. At some point, though, we would like all the original forms eventually to come to a central location. The regional coordinators will make sure that all of the original forms go to the team of people that are involved in the statewide point in time count. When the regional coordinators first receive the forms, there will be folks there with them to help them go through the forms and make sure they have been filled out completely and properly. That's why Carla asked you to put your contact information on the form. We may need to get a hold of you and ask you a question if there's some part of the form that we don't understand. We want to make sure our count this year is as accurate as it can possibly be. This is so important for many programs throughout the state of Wyoming. Not only does it inform us of our homeless population and whether we are properly housing our homeless population and what services we need in the future, but it also helps us know what different funding streams we need to look at down the road to help our homeless population, which in turn helps the entire state of Wyoming. Because these forms are so important to us, we want to make sure they are filled out properly. So we'll be spending some time with them and maybe contacting volunteers to make sure they are filled out, that they are filled out properly. We will know at the end of this count, or after all of our information has been sent to the Federal Agency of Housing and Urban Development, and they process the information, we will be able to answer the question, how many homeless people are there in Wyoming? We will know that answer soon. You will also be seeing posters, flyers, and public service announcements concerning the point in time count. Flyers and posters and public service announcements have been produced through the state DFS office and through the Wyoming Department of Health. Those posters and flyers are meant for volunteers involved in the count and also for the public to give them information on the count. You should be receiving information and those flyers and posters shortly, as well as hearing the public service announcements over the radio and television. More than anything, as we close this training today, I want to thank you for your time and attention to this important project. We are going to learn so much, and I think it's going to be really, really fun. So as we work through the day and we work through the forms and you're talking to people and we're learning about our fellow citizens in Wyoming, please have fun and celebrate the success of the Wyoming Point in Time Count. Thank you.